Um, Thank you for joining us. I'm sorry, that's my cell phone dinging in the background. Thank you for joining us today. I'd like to thank the Newcastle Chamber of Commerce for co-hosting this with us. Thank you, Jane, for participating. So I am going to take a moment and just open the meeting, and then maybe I will hand it off to Philip to share some thoughts with us. We'll open up for some questions, and then maybe Jane, we can get you to wrap up and give some thanks. So a little bit of housekeeping. Tanya has everybody's microphone muted. So if you have questions, please type them in the chat, and we will do our best to monitor and make sure those questions all get filtered through and we get answers. I want to take a minute and thank Chair Henry, Mayor Foster, and Councillor Margswart for joining us this afternoon. It's great to have everybody participating. I know everybody's time is super valuable. So with that, we all have greatly filled bellies from our turkey dinners. I hope everybody had a chance to safely spend some time with their family and remember those things that are most important, most dear to us. And to take that with us through the rest of the week and beyond. Next week is Small Business Week. And so at the Board of Trade, we've got 4 free events for you, one on time management, one on financial management, one on activating your digital ecosystem, and one on developing a business model canvas. So please, or if you've got the time, participate. I believe they're all at 9 a.m. next week, rolling days. So we hope you can join us and take away a little bit of insight and best practices for your businesses for growth. So with that, I will move forward and thank MP Philip Lawrence for joining us this afternoon. I keep thinking it's morning. I'm not quite sure. Maybe I'm still in that turkey coma or stuffing coma, as we were talking about at the beginning of this meeting with the early birds. So Philip Lawrence was first elected to as Member of Parliament for Northumberland, Peterborough South in 2019, in the 2019 general federal election. He is currently the Shadow Minister for National Revenue. In February 2020, Philip tabled his first private member's bill, C-206, an act to amend the Greenhouse Gas Pollution Pricing Act, qualifying farming fuel. Philip grew up on a horse farm where he developed a love for horses and the outdoors. Prior to working in politics, Philip earned his BA in political science at Brock University. He went on to attend Osgoode Hall Law School and the Schulich School of Business to obtain his law degree and MBA. He started his practice in law with a focus on taxation and corporations. Seems to me he was the guy to sit beside for the math exam. That's what I'm thinking. In 2008, he joined one of Canada's largest financial institutions, becoming the 3rd generation in his family to work in financial services. Currently, he lives in the charming community of Orono with his wife, Natasha, and 2 beautiful children. So with that, I will pass it off to you, Philip, and enjoy.
Perfect. Thanks very much, Sheila. I appreciate the time, and as you know, I'm a resident of Clarington. In addition to being the Member of Parliament, the 2nd most famous and powerful MP from Clarington. You might know the other fellow, and so of course Aaron O'Toole is our leader, and very excited to have him also from the Clarington area as well, and I know he'll do some great stuff. By way of agenda, just wanted to first just go through an overview of some of the changes that have come about to some of the pandemic relief programs, both on the business side and on the individual side as well. There have been, of course, a number of changes, and in addition, I'll also highlight there's a litany of benefits at the end of the Economic Recovery Act that might particularly touch upon the municipalities' various amounts of funding that have been promised. We're still trying to get some details on that, but we'll start off with the individual side. And of course, we had the Canadian Economic Response Benefit, or CERB, in place for the first 6 months of the pandemic or so, which offered Canadians $2,000, which offered Canadians, sorry, $2,000 a month for, it was initially, I believe, 4 months and then extended to 6. The CERB was great, and it allowed Canadians to not be forced to go to work and endangering others. But it also had challenges for business owners as the pandemic sort of started to wane and before the second wave of trying to get employees back because they were having difficulty at times. And this is not from me directly, this is feedback I've received from business owners in the Northumberland and Clarington area. And so that has had some challenges. The CERB has now come to an end, and it has 4 different successor programs. One is an existing one, which is employment insurance. So for EI, that has been extended, I should say. And what's really happened is that folks have been given artificial credits in order for them to apply as if they had been able to work through the pandemic, which of course they cannot. And so that's for up to 52 weeks. In addition, though, there are a number of people, of course, who we've realized through this pandemic that the EI system has left out, which includes as a self-employed. And so for the self-employed, there's the Canada Recovery Benefit that provides up to 26 weeks at $500 a week for those in the gig economy or the self-employed, and other folks who maybe the EI didn't apply, were not eligible for. And secondly is the Canada Recovery Sickness Benefit that provides 14 days if you have to self-isolate or as a result of a caregiver, a sick child, etc. Provides 2 weeks at $500 a week for coverage for yourself. Obviously, that may apply to business owners as well. And then finally in the suite, there's a child recovery benefit that allows caregivers to take up to 26 weeks off because they have to be at home with their children. It's 26 weeks that can be shared between 2 parents, working much the way that that paternity/maternity works. That you can trade off the weeks in between parents or caregivers with an ultimate max at 26 weeks. And that's really designed for a parent who has to take time off work due to the fact they can't get their child in any type of childcare or school or otherwise due to COVID-19 reasons, of course. Then on the business side specifically, this is a bit of old news, but the Canada Wage Subsidy was extended till September of 2021, which I think has been well received by the business community, and flatten the amount to 65% of subsidy for the Canadian wage subsidy. And just hot off the presses, we don't even have legislation on this as of yet, but the rent subsidy program is being redone. Of course, that can only be described as an abject failure the first go around, because as I remember having a discussion vividly here actually with some of the business owners that because it flowed through the landowner and there was really no incentive for the landowner, or sorry, for the landlord to provide the benefit. All they got is a bunch of paperwork and maybe the shoring up of a tenant, but they ended up costing them money and having to do paperwork. Well, as we've called upon, and quite frankly, all the opposition parties have called upon, we now have, or at least announced, a direct to the business owner rent subsidy, providing up to 65% of the rent. And if in fact your business is shut down because of our good friends at the provincial government, and then you get an additional 25%. So up to 90% of the total coverage there. Sorry, a little math here there. Maybe my math class wasn't that good after all. Up to 90% of the total rent provided to business owners. And the reality is, as I'm sure that all of you are aware, in my numerous discussions with business owners from Brighton to Newcastle and all parts in between, the only way that we're going to get back to the new normal, as it were, or our reasonable level of economic health, is to get businesses back open and get ourselves back to work. However, in light of the second wave, I think these programs are extremely helpful and hopefully help patch the way or bridge the way to a new future where we have a vaccine and we're able to return back to business. Because as much as these programs may be a band-aid, I'm sure all of your members would say ultimately the only way to economic prosperity is reopening our doors, getting people back in their shops, and getting people back to work, and unleashing the most powerful force in Canada, which is our workforce. And so more than happy at this point. I ran through a bunch of the programs because I didn't want to have anyone fall asleep. In Zoom, it's very easy to do that. But I'm more than happy to dig deeper on any of those programs. The final thing I did mention was that there was a schedule of about, I don't know, about 60 or 70 items that relate to various funding announcements. We are still waiting for a lot of where these dollars are going to come. Everything from providing PPE to public and private institutions, providing additional support for students, and very important. And I'm sure that all of my fellow political colleagues would agree. Lots of support being provided for vulnerable groups such as homeless individuals and other charities, nonprofits, children who are at risk, and women who are at risk. And we will of course be working with all of our political counterparts to make sure that those monies get down as quickly as possible to help the people who they are meant to help. Obviously, it's important. And just in a display of hopefully blatant nonpartisanship, we did vote for this unanimously, and we were all up till 3 a.m. in the morning to make sure that we got this money out. The CRA has just started on Monday releasing some of these funds. There were a couple of issues at first, but I understand it's working well now. And I apologize, I do have a cough. I just got over a cold. I know that I don't have COVID because I got a COVID negative test. So I did not jump the queue, just in case anyone's waiting. I did the whole thing of waiting in line with the family. But I know that I cannot spread the COVID over Zoom or otherwise now. So as I am negative, thanks very much.
All right, so do we have any questions? I'm going to start with a question. This has all caught us by surprise from day one, and it seems that we've been trying to catch up since early March. And as much as it's important to get our businesses open and get everybody working, it's equally important that we put some resources and some thought, forward thinking into when there is a vaccine available. How will that get deployed in a timely and effective manner? So I'm just curious if there's any conversations at the federal level on how that will be deployed into communities, into regional pockets. And how do we ensure that we get our workforce and our community safely vaccinated quickly?
Yeah, and that is a fantastic question, and one that was almost asked almost word for word in the House of Commons on Friday, I believe it was. And the health minister's response was not the most confidence-inducing answer I've ever heard, but in that she basically said that we were in discussions to make sure that we did it fairly and quickly. I will say that it's something we are pushing very hard on. In fact, it was, of course, one of our members that asked that question in the House, almost your exact question. The other thing, though, that to let you know, I think one of the keys in getting us back, obviously a vaccine is the ultimate cure, but one of the things that could help us get back to business quickly is rapid testing. You'll see in other countries like Germany and Italy, you can get a test, and it's not hours, it's not even minutes, sometimes it's seconds. And the testing is upwards, I understand, of accuracies of plus 99%. So very accurate, very quick test. And that's a great way. So for my example, is that so my daughter actually had a runny nose and a fever on Saturday, and so we went the next day. We called, got an appointment. did a great job at the Northumberland Hills Hospital. Fantastic people there working as hard as they can. But we didn't get our result till Friday. Now, I'm in a fortunate perspective, like some of my political colleagues, where I can work completely virtually. I attended the House of Commons, gave 2 speeches in the House of Commons, actually from the comfort of my home in self-isolation. But for many of you as business owners, I am sure that that is not a possibility, and just as much so for the waitress or for someone else who has that type of challenge. It would have been great to get that rapid test, know that I didn't have it, and get back to work, right? So in terms of getting kids back to school and getting grown-ups, for lack of a better term, back to work, I think that rapid testing is key, and I agree with you 110%. Getting the distribution of the vaccine right will be important, and quite frankly, I don't want to say this for partisan reason, but we have been slow the whole way out. There's been some good programs. The government's done some great things for people, no doubt about it. But we've been about 2 months behind. With a vaccine distribution, we can't afford that. We need to be ready, first out the door. We need to be world class, leading the world. We have some of the best scientists. We have some of the best medical practitioners. All that's standing in our way of having a world class vaccine distribution is the politicians. We need to get that right.
Okay, so I'm going to ask a quick follow-up, and then I'm going to stop asking questions.
This
isn't my show. So it is, maybe it's not a question. Maybe it's more of an offer. If there's things that can be done at the local level to help increase that capacity for either the rapid testing or the vaccine distribution when it gets here. I'm sure that it'll be easier to isolate the distribution a little bit. So I'm sure that there are people in the community that are willing to participate and help out in that. We do have a question from Mayor Foster. Is there any dialogue going on with regards to herd immunity and limited uptake of vaccines? Don't know the numbers in Canada, but apparently in the US, only 45% of the people will take a vaccine, which is not high enough for herd immunity.
Yeah, I think actually I have a good friend, Little Inside Baseball, who's actually on the other side of the aisle, and his wife is a physician. He actually got up and talked about the importance of immunization for about 10 minutes in the House of Commons while I happened to be there, and I think he gave a great speech. I think Canadian numbers will be much higher than that. We tend to be a little bit more deferential than our American counterparts, but other than to say, I would obviously encourage folks to take the vaccine. Health Canada, they said, and this is a bipartisan comment here, that Health Canada, for as slow as they may have been, they are taking this seriously, and I believe that they will only release a vaccine if it is healthy, well tested out, and well thought out. And so when we get to whether the vaccine, the challenge is, and I'm really outside of my depth here, this is for medical professionals and scientists, and that's who I will defer to. But the challenge is that the vaccine may not even itself be perfect, just like the flu vaccine. You can get the flu vaccine and it does decrease your chances, but you could still get the flu, right? So there'll still be challenges. I will work as hard as I can as your representative to make sure to do the best we can to protect our citizens, and I'll continue to work with all our local leaders. And we've got, of course, we've got some great leaders here today, including Mayor Foster, who have done a fabulous job on all our behalfs, and continue to work with them and to keep our country and our area safe as we can.
Okay. Do we have any other questions? They don't have to be COVID related. There is something outside the world of COVID that I'm sure MP Lawrence would be happy to address with us.
Anything.
We have a quiet crowd today. Everybody's still in that turkey coma.
That's all good. You can either take that one of two ways, I've learned. Either I'm doing a terrible job, no one wants to talk to me, or I'm just doing a fabulous job and everyone's content with it. I think I stole that line from Adrian Foster, actually, but
So Mayor Foster is asking, what can Clarington do to help you?
Yeah, I think as I think we've done exceptionally well both in Clarington and our riding, my shared riding of Northumberland and Peterborough as well. We just need to continue to communicate. So as soon as I find information, I try to get it as quickly as possible to disseminate it. We'll continue to do that, and we'll continue to work well together. So I love the spirit. Mayor Foster will know that we've had numerous calls, and many type A people on the line all wanting to push hard. But I don't think we've ever had anyone gotten agitated or even really a dispute of any sort. So we'll just continue to collaborate the way Canadians do to help Canadians.
Very good. So is there any other questions? Come on, guys. I think you're off the hook early. You get an extra coffee break today.
There we go. Hey, there we go. Just before we depart, I will tell you, you can reach out to my office at any time. We're more than willing to help with the phase 2 going on. We still have our office very much open, but we are asking for appointments now, just so that we can make sure that we do all the cleaning and the sanitization appropriately. But we're open and we're ready to help. If any of your members have any issues with respect to the rent subsidy, the wage subsidy, CRB,
I think you're cutting out a little bit there, Philip.
Am I better now? I think.
Yeah.
Perfect. I see Amy just raised a question there.
There you go. You thought you were off the hook.
Okay.
All right. So I will just read it out for everybody's sake. Members of Clarington's agriculture sector have heard that new rules may be coming forward either provincially or federally regarding temporary foreign work accommodations and COVID requirements. Can you shed any light on whether there are discussions about this at the federal level?
There are definitely discussions, but nothing has come to my desk as of yet. And so I don't believe anything has been put in pen to paper and letting us know. But there are definitely discussions, and I have, of course, talked to some of our agriculture stakeholders, and they've been fantastic, of course, including the folks from Wilmot Farms and, of course, from Algoma. Of course, they want everyone to be safe in our community and also their foreign workers. But I will tell you that we don't need unnecessary regulation either. So number one is the safety of our community and our foreign workers. But number two, we don't want regulations that don't make sense and don't make people safe. So we want to make sure that we can, most importantly, protect our society, our community from COVID-19. But second to that, make sure that our food chain is protected as well, and make sure that if there are new regulations coming into place, that they accomplish their goal with the least amount of burden possible to our farmers, protecting our food chain.
Excellent. So all I had to do was say coffee and we got more questions.
There we go.
The healthy way to get your caffeine boost. So Councillor Zwart is asking, can you give us any updates on federal initiatives on rolling out rural broadband?
Yeah, so thank you very much for that. That's been one of the primary things that, well, really locally and nationally that I've been pushing for, is that we need to have enhanced broadband. Of course, as everyone knows, I live in the wonderful metropolis along with Councillor Zwart in Orono. And of course, I suffered the rural internet that doesn't work. So there are a number of areas where we're pushing to get this money out the door. It is put aside. Of course, our neighbor to the north, the Honorable Minister Montsev, That's underneath her file. And so we continue to push her every day, check into the House of Commons. There's usually 3 or 4 questions about rural internet and getting that money out to the province, so that we can like, it's not, this is ridiculous. Now we're going into 2 decades of having this discussion. We need we need internet. And it's not just rural internet. To give you an example, right? I'm in Cobourg, one of our riding's largest city. Actually, it is our largest city or town. And you saw my internet sort of falter. It's not just rural too. It's really even urban areas where we don't have the internet we need. And there are countries far less well off than us that don't have internet. So we'll continue to push for that. Obviously, I am in opposition, not in government, so that sort of limits my view into it. But I can tell you that your MPP, David Piccini, is pushing from a provincial level to the feds, and I am pushing as well. We've had a number of different letters going to Marianne Monsef, I should say, Member Monsef, the Honorable Marianne Monsef, and we'll continue to push hard to enough talk. Let's get the fiber in the ground. Let's get the cell towers built, and let's get this done.
Excellent. So just a little thank you from Mayor Foster saying that urban is problematic too. We hear about it all the time. Businesses right along the 401 that get better service up in their cottage than they than they do along the 401. So it's just a problem, right?
Yeah.
And I know that for 20 years in this job, I've been working on that file in some capacity or another. So it seems like it's going to take some regulations, I think, at the federal level to solve this problem and knock down some of that monopoly that's happening there, right?
I had a call today on that. I can't give you any more information than that, but I had a call today on that very topic.
That's good to hear. That's good to hear. So I'll do one more call out for questions and then I'll hand it over to Jane. So I don't see any. So Jane, again, thank you to the Newcastle Chamber for partnering with us on this, and I'll hand it over to you. You have to unmute yourself.
I'm sorry. I'm not as tech as I should be. I want to thank you for organizing all of this and to say that I'm glad that we have this Board of Trade to work with. I know we share a lot of mutual things that we work on together, and I really appreciate all the help that you give us and take the lead. And I also want to thank all 3 levels of our government. This is a good opportunity to say this, that over these months, we've all had so many meetings and gatherings online that I wanted to say that all 3 levels of our government are really doing a great job keeping us all informed, keeping us safe, and helping us in every way they can. So when I talk to our members, that's one of the first things they all say. It's good to live in Clarington. It's really good to live out here. We have great representation. So Philip, thank you for taking your valuable time today. I know that you're a very, very busy person. But we really appreciate all that you do for us, and you really hit the ground running for sure. So thank you for being part of this today, and we continue to tell our people to call you if they need any information, and you're always approachable, always open for anything to help us with. So I really appreciate your time.
You got it. I just got elbowed virtually by my legislative assistant to remind you as well. I am, in addition to any local issues, of course, which will always be of extreme importance, I am now the Shadow Minister for National Revenue. And so if any of you hear of or have any issues with the wonderful people at Canada Revenue Agency, it's my job to sort of consolidate those and find out where the issues lie, and so that we can get them fixed and make sure that CRA only delivers the highest level of service.
That will come in handy when we all have to gather for our income taxes. Yeah.
Maybe they could stop threatening to put me in jail.
For sure. Well, we're happy to deal with any issue.
Thanks again for being with us today. Really appreciate it.
Thanks.
Goodbye, everybody.
Okay.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.